Okay, I'll call today's Finance Committee meeting on Monday, November 24th to order. It's just turned 5:32. We have 4 of the 5 members here with Lampy missing. We have a quorum. First up, I'll take both together. We have the Finance Committee.
It's good, Fred. You're asking for approval? Say it again. Okay,
Okay, Finance Committee minutes from November 10th and Finance Committee minutes from November 18th.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move for adoption
Okay,
of those minutes.
by Berg for both. Okay. Second by Smith.
Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is it Jonathan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. But the Lampy came out at 5:33. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 5-0 on the minutes. Public comment. Each individual who would like to address the committee will be permitted up to 3 minutes for their comments on agenda items only. You can state your name and address. Okay. All right. Maureen, you want to say anything or no? Okay. Seeing none, move on to business. A, review and take action, approve resolution for Wisconsin Emergency Management Pre-Disaster Flood Resilience Grant application for culvert inventory, modeling, and floodplain analysis relating to the West Side Creek system. There was a memo from Mr. Byer in there as well.
Yep, thank you. And I will just briefly go over that memo, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. So engineering is here tonight to seek approval to move a resolution forward. We'd like to apply for the Wisconsin Emergency Management Grant for the Pre-Disaster Flood Resilience Grant. This is one we applied for last year, but we were not successful. So it was the first year last year that they offered this program, and there was a lot of applications. So we had good feedback from the program managers, and we've tried to improve our grant application a little bit more this year, improve the project a little bit more. So this is a project that would study the West Side Creek system. So that creek that goes through Brant Court Park and then flows downstream towards the Rock, as well as the High School Creek that comes down past Elm Street. And those two come together just down by the fire station. So then they come out to the Rock River down by Fairview Drive. So back in 2024, when we did our flood control plan, we had at least 4 of our major flooding areas related to these 2 creeks. What we'd like to do is get some grant money from the state to help collect information about the creeks, study the floodplain, do the modeling to figure out how much water can those creeks handle in different rain events, and then basically create that baseline so then we can start looking at the solutions to try to solve the flooding there. The applications are due December 12th. It does require a resolution from the city. On top of that, our own process here requires that we come to you for approval before we apply for a grant. So ultimately, it is a 75-25 grant. So the cost share from the state would be 75%. That's estimated at about $133,000 at this point. And the city's share would be a little bit over $44,000 if we can be successful with this application.
I'll just make a motion to approve this grant application.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Davis, second by Berg. Okay. But all in favor say aye.
Oh, just
Aye.
1 second. Okay.
Mr. Berg, okay.
Right. Again, so I see that the maximum is 300,000, but you're saying for our example that we're trying to propose for our actually individual grant application, it's going to be a $44,000 obligation?
That would be the city share. The maximum $300,000 is the maximum that Wisconsin Emergency Management would pay, and that would be a 75% of a project. So we're not asking to max out the grant application by any means. We're seeking about $133,000 from Wisconsin Emergency Management, and then the $44,000 from us.
And that's from stormwater.
It is from a stormwater utility, yes.
Is that sort of in your mind when you put together your plans for next year?
You know, honestly, we thought it would come out a little bit more. We had requested 60,000 in the stormwater utility budget. But when we started working through this application this fall, it came out to be a little bit less. So it's better than being a little bit over, we figured.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good job.
Okay. Mr. Lampe, you have anything? I don't like,
No,
Good.
I just think this is important. This covers a good stretch of this too, so thank you for continuing to pursue it.
okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Right. Thank you. Next, review and take action, Union 2025 leave time extension. So I think Chief Brower's on there. Chief, you want to go ahead first?
Sure, that'd be great, Mayor. Members of the committee, do you have the side letter agreement and my memo describing that in your packets?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I'm fearing that wasn't there, so I'm glad to hear that. In that case, I won't read through that memo. I hope you had a chance to read it. Just to summarize it, we had a heavy or a low staffing year last year, a lot of heavy overtime for our officers. Ended up with end of the year coming to the realization that we're going to have a lot of officers with a lot of holiday time and vacation time still left in their banks. Rather than have them just forfeit that, we put together a side letter of agreement to the contract with the union's involvement and approval. There's a couple of ways we could have done this that I'm aware of. One would be a payout of that time. Another would be, as we did in this side letter, an extension of the time into the following year to use it during that full year. So normally they get the option to carry over 45 hours of vacation time to the next year. They have to use that normally before the first 3 months are finished. This year we've extended that to the full year to use it, and we've doubled the overtime from 45 to 90 hours and included another 45 hours of holiday time. Not all of the officers need that. Many of them were able to spend their time. But in the memo, you can see a couple of large 1,000 hours, 2,945 hours unspent as of October 14th. Some of that got spent since then. We don't foresee any problem with them having time to spend it next year. That full year extension gives them plenty of time to do that. But I'll entertain any other questions you might have about that.
As I was reading it over, I was wondering about the strategy of allowing them all of next year to use this year's plus next year's. And I'm wondering why not just give them through through like the end of June? Why not just extend it to that? Then there's a hard deadline on spending last year's. And then of course they still have the deadline of December 31st. I'm just wondering if we're potentially going to get ourselves into the same situation if we're running both amounts and they have the whole of next year to spend both.
Yeah, we considered that, tried to find a good solution. Using the entire year as available time prevents it from getting all crammed in. The shorter the time to use it means they have less opportunity to use it. So we're actually creating more of a problem by trying to force them to cram it into that first 3 months or 6 months. By opening up the whole year, we're able to schedule it out way in advance to know what our staffing will look like and plan much better for it. So it also would be something, we had to get their agreement to do this, and it would have been harder for them to say yes to a situation where we're trying to force them to only use certain months to use this time that they graciously, by being good to the city, we're here on overtime and didn't get the opportunity to spend it because we were so short-staffed. I wanted to give them the entire year to try to make it fit for their families. It's pretty tough to say to somebody, here's 90 hours of vacation time, but the only way you can use it is 2 hours overlap at the end of your Fridays. Otherwise, it's useless to you. We try to give them the entire year to calendar all this so they can take a week off and go on vacation like everybody else in the real world gets to do. We try to make that happen for our officers as much as possible. They don't get to do it as much as we'd like to, but at least this way we give them that full year opportunity to do that.
So then just as my last comment on follow-up, I'll only speak for myself, but I would really urge them to spend both by December 31st of next year. I don't want to see us coming back and having this discussion again.
Well, I would only want to come back and have the discussion if another staffing shortage happened. But the way this is written, it's a side letter that ends at the end of next year, and there is no opportunity for them to reapproach. This is a problem I saw and that I wanted to intervene and prevent them from having that problem. They could certainly petition and say, we'd like to do this. They're so gracious, they did not do that this past year. I expected them to have done it if I didn't eventually get to it. But this isn't them demanding or requiring that we give them something. It's me saying it is not right for us to not only make them work tons of overtime, but also take in such a way that they can't use the vacation or holiday time that we want them to use so they don't get burned out. But then the following year to say, we're not even going to give them the chance to use it again. So they're certainly on notice that they've got just this 1 year to use up the 2025 time.
Mr. Berg, go ahead.
Yeah, Chief, I commend you on your approach because I did see initially that you suggested a payout type of approach and you wanted some feedback from the union, and they appeared to want this to be time off as a preference. And like you've indicated, the likelihood is that with more stable coverage on your shifts, your ability to accommodate that over a period of a year is going to be a lot easier, and it's going to give them more options. And the hope is that they're going to fit it in during the next year on both their current plus their backdated vacation time and holiday time they're owed. But it also, instead of a payout, I think there's a decent chance we can do it the way you're suggesting. So I like your approach.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Davis to approve, second by Berg. Okay, anything else on that? Do we need roll call with the money or no? Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I'm looking for you at 10 o'clock. Okay, next I had C, update future meeting locations. I was talking to Pete about a month ago or so. One of the tanks there was empty. I thought it would provide a good opportunity to maybe go see something that usually isn't empty, but it got dark on us pretty quick. So I know we had gone to the park shop a while back, but just letting you know when the weather's better, like maybe in March, Megan said we can actually put meeting notices that you have like a tour from 5:30 to 6 in some of these places, and I have the meeting start actually at 6. But just thinking of going on the streets once, the fire station, but or our treatment plant, pizza, you kind of do a half-hour tour one day of the facilities inside, and then a quick kind of half-hour another time over when it's nice, when it's summertime or something. So not going to do that now in the winter, but just so you know, in the future, probably when spring pops up, may change some future meeting dates. And actually, Ms. Davis, and for safety, if everyone do something like that too, may go to fire station, you can do that too if you wanted to. Just an option. As long as it's noticed for the public, we can have the meetings at different locations. So
Yeah, so your intent is to do a tour on different locations in our city and then to have our meeting start after the tour?
yeah, Megan said we can just put in, it could be a half hour together, just getting a tour for a half hour. And then if we actually start the meeting, then technically someone can go on a tour with us. Not that I'd be fine with that too. That's something, when I was on Public Works, I actually did that when Romine was chair, that we had a few meetings down there at the water treatment plant back when Kevin Freeber was in charge. So was down there with Andrew a while back, and they were just kind of interesting to learn those facets of the city. Yes.
I'm not opposed to that. Of course, the tricky part is the technology and making sure it's lined up and ready to go. So that just complicates things a little
The
bit.
Zoom doesn't have to be on, but those other places should have Zoom capability pretty well too. Yeah.
Making sure it's.
If the Zoom's not there, then we just won't put it in and record it otherwise.
You mean you wouldn't put the link into?
Yeah,
the
I just don't
meeting
it's not
agenda?
required to put it in there. Yeah. We can record it otherwise, but I think most of those places don't have a problem anyway. That was kind of concentrating more. I thought streets for a day, but the water treatment plant I thought would be one. You guys have seen the fire station, but water treatment plant might be a good one to Pete for us to give us a tour a couple of days in a row or a couple of meetings in a row. That was it for that. And then D, I had a review and take possible action, distribution of a citizen input survey.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mayor.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, sorry, go with item C. Sorry, Jonathan.
So my two thoughts on C were around ADA compliance and easy access for the locations. Just basically make sure that we have a level parking lot that people can get in and basically participate in the main body of the meeting during the session if they can.
That's why those meetings are always noticed. Yeah. And I think like water treatment plant, the tour probably not ADA compliant, but the parking lot and accessibility for anybody is fine. Yeah.
Right. Not, yeah, the main body of the meeting is the part that I'm concerned about.
That's available for people. Yes. Okay. I didn't mean to jump anything else on C. Okay. All right. Thank you. D, the distribution of a citizen input survey. Had some few allers asked me about maybe getting a survey out to the public of things they like, don't like. Just your thoughts for a few minutes of something possibly just online or something to be distributed through mail. Could just be on the City Connection too. We do that twice a year. Maybe there's a QR code in City Connection. I had some ideas from a few different elders, so I just bring up maybe this body and see what your thoughts were on it. Yeah, Mr. Berg, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor Stocks, I asked you to bring it on to our agenda for the last couple of months, and we were able to fit it in now that our budget is over. But this was a topic that I had with Alderperson Smith months ago, and he, as mayor, was very successful at doing surveys within our city on a periodic basis to get feedback from citizens within our city, and it was very, very effective, and we had a nice response rate. And I know that just in trying to be responsive to people in my district and overall as a city, that getting feedback from people, it shows up at public meetings. It shows up in a lot of different ways. They make phone calls to people like ourselves. But I value surveys. I think they can be done in an effective type way, and we can get feedback that's real. And the City Connection for me is a very good approach. You can do electronic, online type things in addition to, but a lot of people, and we want, senior citizens, people that aren't technology type people that can actually take out a hard copy, insert it into the City Connection and have it done in a way that ask a variety of questions on how we're doing as a city, as a council, on the issues of service and what we can do better at. And that topic is going to take a little bit of work to get put together, but I'm convinced it can be done in a fairly decent time frame. And then I think the City Connection goes out to like 6,000 places, our communities, our houses in our town. So I know that the distribution out to like 6,000 and getting, even if we got 1,000 back, it's not going to be scientific, but it's going to be very effective on giving us a sampling of response that we can evaluate and get feedback from. So I'm on the side of asking us to look further into, involve our staff where we can to make this done right as much as we can, and just try to ask the right questions and do it in a way that's going to solicit and encourage people to respond back. And I think the dropping them off here at City Hall, whatever method's going to be easy, mail it back in an envelope, but get it to us so we get a decent sampling back. But I know the distribution out is going to be fairly easy. I think the hard part is putting up a survey in a way that's going to be asking the right questions about how are we doing, what can we do better, and what are the issues that are important to you. That's really the intent.
Okay. Anybody else? Jonathan. Ms. Davis, go ahead.
So I'm not opposed to this. I am concerned that it is an additional ask for staff or in their hours. In order to do an effective survey, it is time consuming to do well. It's time consuming to make sure that you're only getting one response from each household, rather than for it to be leveraged by particular interested parties to get multiple responses in for the survey. And then compiling the survey takes time. So those are my concerns here, that now that we have done the budget for the next year, that this is not something that was budgeted or considered.
And I was actually thinking of it, if I had our media department create a QR code, maybe that could go in the biannual flyer, the City Connection. Possibly is having some flyers maybe at City Hall, or not City Hall, sorry, at the Senior Center. Maybe that wasn't going to cost much money, but I can ask, I'll talk to Lisa downstairs in media and see what maybe ideas she has for it. That's something that would not cost or very little money, if anything. Yeah.
We have a.
If we had flyers at the Senior Center rather than using mailings, what I meant, Mr. Bergen. Because I think when you do a survey, you don't have to like every person, whoever wants to answer it, but I think the idea is that you have a good amount of the population that gets some feedback on questions. So, and come up with questions that the citizens might be helpful to answer. I can ask our leadership team, and maybe I'll send a message to all the alders, anything maybe questions they'd want citizens to answer. Maybe what's working well, what could work better.
Yeah, we have a contingency account through the mayor's office that's meant to be, there's 226,000 in there. We're not trying to use big numbers and big dollars to make this idea happen, but look back to when we did it last. And where's the baseline as far as an example? And I know when we did it when I was, but that's back in the 90s and the 2000s. So I don't think it's been done in potentially 15 years or more.
Okay. And I'm thinking the City Connection comes out in March or so, so maybe I'll work with staff and get some questions and email all the alders and maybe get something going by March, okay? So you potentially do some kind of survey. Anybody else have any comments on that? Let's move on. Okay. Next, E, review and take action, enter into contract with Passenger Transit Incorporated for shared ride taxi services, January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2027. You know, Megan's on. Mr. Smith?
I would move that we recommend this new contract with the resolution prepared, proposed in our packet here to the council for approval.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay, got a motion by Smith and a second by Davis for item E. Okay, any comments on there? Otherwise, we got some more process here too, going through H. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Next, F, review and take action, enter into lease with Passenger Transit Incorporated for shared ride taxi service vehicles, January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2027. Mr. Smith?
I would make a motion that we approve this proposed resolution and recommend its approval to the council.
Okay, motion by Smith, second by Berg. Okay, questions or comments on F?
Just want to say thank you for spending as much time as you did on public transit this year. I know this was a bit of a challenge with the budget, the numbers going up and down, but I really like where we ended up on this. So thank you.
And this resolution is showing our inventory that we currently have.
Yeah, this is exactly what we have right now, and as for the future resolution and one recommended by the Transit Commission for the capital grant, which we've also funded in our budget. No, that'll be added when it's completed.
Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I think there's an aye, right, Jonathan? Okay. All right, G, review and take action, apply for operating grant from Department of Transportation for 2026 shared ride taxi service. Mr. Smith?
I would make a motion that we authorize the application for the 2026 grant for our shared ride cab system.
Okay, motion by Smith,
Seconded.
second by Berg. Okay, questions, comments on that?
Alderperson Smith, you're showing that that we're applying for a grant that could be as much as $1 million?
The, well, it depends upon the total amount of purchase transportation. The $1 million is the amount that would be the authorized total expenditure.
Okay,
And what we're applying for is this combined federal-state funding, which right now is anticipated at 56.5% of
Okay.
the purchase transportation.
yeah, I see.
Okay. Anything else on G? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Thank you. All right, next H. Before we do that, Megan, you're on. Do you want to say anything, Megan, or just keep going? You don't have to come on. I can just pop in if you want to say anything, okay? All right. H, review and take action, apply for a capital grant from Department of Transportation for 2026 fleet purchases for shared ride taxi service. Which I think is at page 24 in your packet. Mr. Smith?
I would make a motion that we authorize the application for the capital grant under the terms specified in this resolution. Basically, it's the same as we have had for many years. Our 20% city contribution is also anticipated and is included in our budget.
All right, motion by Smith, second by Berg.
Alderperson Smith, the amount of one ADA minivan, is there any benefit of trying to get more, or what makes you have the application for, in this example, on one vehicle?
Well, I believe that that's both consistent with our regular
Oh,
annual purchase and also consistent with what is our longer term need on a replacement basis.
really? Wow, it's pretty modest.
We're only allowed to apply for one.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Okay, anything else on H? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. I, review and take possible action, Watertown Transit fare increases, agency and adult. I realize my eyes are getting worse now. Any questions on those? But, Mr. Smith?
Yes, I would move for the approval of this fare increase, a recommendation that the council approve the fare increase, which is basically very, very limited in terms of the total components, but that the agency and the adult fare increase be recommended for approval to the council.
Okay, got a motion by Smith,
Second.
second by Lampy.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Davis.
Regarding the increase to the agency dollar amount from $9 to $12, as I look at the historical data for that on page 26, it looks like most of the other rate amounts have increased from 2016 to 2026. Why has there been no increase to the agency ride amount since 2016? I'm sorry, I said 2006, 2016. Why hasn't that been increased in the same way that the other fare amounts has increased? Was there a reason for that? Was there some requirement from the Medicaid that would limit the amount?
Let's see. Have an answer for that, Megan?
I can't speak to what was done, I guess, previously. It just hasn't been looked at during my time here. And maybe because it's different than the other fairs, that it's kind of controlled more by just like between the government and the care facility.
As a point of clarification, the resolution that we have on page 27 notes that it's 2019, whereas the recommendation on the previous page notes that it's 2016. Do we need to reconcile those things?
Are you talking about on my memo?
Yeah, there's a 2016 date on the memo and a 2019 date on the resolution.
Yeah, that's probably just an error on my part. Agency fair started in 2019. Sorry about that.
Okay. Should we get that corrected? Okay.
But to our knowledge, there isn't any limitation to the amount put on the rate from Medicaid.
We
It's
have
just
to
curious. Go ahead.
we have to inform the agency of what our new rates are. They can certainly choose not to use our service if they feel it's too high, but we will likely be much more efficient for them to use our transportation and to find other transportation.
Okay. It was just curious to me that all the other rates have increased, but that one hasn't, and I wondered if there was a reason why. But apparently, if there is one, we don't know.
No. Okay. It looks like the other rates are staying the same for children and elderly.
All of the rates are recommended to remain the same, except the adult rate and the agency rate.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any? Oh, Mr. Berg, go ahead.
I understand the need for the adjustment, but I'm asking, and I know the volume on adult is where the money can be made as far as an increase in the rate, but and who wants to make changes on young kids or again children, but I think ideally, if you could spread the burden, if you could actually, even if we're looking at a quarter, I don't know, what I'd like to see is to go from $4 to $5 is $1. I mean, that's going each way, and times two is $10 to get to and from, and that becomes significant. I don't know how much we can do, but I'm asking the question, if there was just an adjustment of a quarter, in my example on children, accompany an adult and children under 18, those examples where they're staying at the same number, and elderly, I mean, we know that those are categories that we want to be sensitive to, but to have them largely be kept the same, and then for everybody else, are the other examples here, largely the adult, to have a fairly, to go from $4 to $5 is a significant increase percentage-wise. And I'm just asking, has there been, and did you have discussion at Transit that would explain, I know where the dollars come from on doing adult, but how about some adjustment like I'm suggesting? What would be the impact?
Well, there were several focuses of our discussion. First of all, the adult rate had not been increased since, I think it was 2021. So there would be 5 full years before the implementation of the increase. The second factor is it really is a very helpful component to have an even dollar amount. In other words, if it were to be split up, a dollar split up among the various categories, like say 4 categories increasing a quarter apiece, then our drivers would be constantly making change. And it was felt that of all of the different categories where it would be possible to increase the amount we needed, and the ridership, the annual ridership for adults was about 31,000, and that's almost exactly what we needed with the 60,000 local share to increase. So if we had substantially the same ridership, 31,000, let's say, and we increased that $1, that would address all of the deficiency with the reduced local share. It would leave all of those categories which we felt were least capable of absorbing an increase the same. We are factoring in the $10,000 that we would anticipate receiving as an increase in the agency, $3 increase from 9 to 12. But then just looking at what the remaining deficit was, that $1 for the adults category felt to be most capable of making the payment, most efficient to have as a charge, and much less likelihood of having to make change, and then 5 years during which there had been no increase at all.
I'm just curious, are these cash only fares, or do they have a swipe? They're just collecting cash? Are these cash only?
Yes, there's not there's no electronic
Okay.
charging for
Thank you.
that.
Anything else on that?
Yeah, so, Fred, with what you're proposing, does this actually reflect is there still a deficit in their dollar amounts that they have that they're looking at for the operation? I thought I saw.
Well, I think if I remember right, Megan, you can correct me, but I think that if all of the averages are applied, each of these increases are applied, we were within a couple $1,000s of what we anticipated based on the ridership. And one of the good things about the approach that the Transit Commission is recommending is there's going to be no necessary change in the scheduling. In other words, no reduction of the hours of operation. And I believe in here there either was, or I have it here with the handouts from the Transit Commission, but the hours of operation, at least well into this 2026 years, would be able to remain the same. And then the number of cabs that would be out, which is also a factor, would also be able to remain the same. And the price is obviously a factor in the determination of total ridership and total revenues. But another factor that would affect that is the amount of operating hours. And by keeping them the same, because of addressing it exclusively through the fare and then only really one ridership category, or locally funded ridership category, diminishes the inevitability of people considering, well, will I continue to use the cab service, factoring in price, factoring in convenience, operating hours, and so forth. So part of the other reason that this is done this way is so that there would not have to be a change, or what I would consider to be a potentially disruptive change in the operating hours, which also could have a downward effect upon total ridership.
Alderperson Smith? I just want to comment on, if I can then, your points are well taken. I like the fact that you are projecting to leave largely the hours of operation alone. And there was some discussion early on during budget that you may have to look at adjusting hours in order to offset some of the subsidy decrease that you were getting from our city. But you've got some changes you've made, and you're actually within the range of what you were hoping for to have your revenues and expenses balance out in a decent way.
Yes.
Yep.
And this was widely discussed at the Transit Commission, and the ultimate, the final decision was unanimous that this was the way to go.
One thing that there is an inverse relationship between raising rates and getting more ridership. But one thing that I know, just as a person that hears other people talk, that the reliability of the pickup and getting people to their destination on time is a huge variable in calling the taxi service. And I can see, and I've heard good comments in the last 6 months from people that I have contact with that are making me feel that the reliability of getting picked up and taken to their destination on time is a higher priority apparently within your transit. Because I'm hearing less complaints on people, and people will spend the money as long as they can get to their destination on time, because a lot of them are being taken to work. And they have to be there on time.
Yes. And then this whole issue that you're bringing up was a concern to the commission, which was we did not want to do anything that was avoidable within the scope of the necessities we were facing that would put pressure on the ultimate bottom line, either through total ridership or total revenue, local revenues raised. And the history is very interesting because if you look at the ridership in the category of adults, in 2021, the rate was increased $1. And between 2021 and 2022, there was no change. It was $31,191 for ridership in 21 and $31,175 for ridership in 22.
Mr. Smith,
So
you said $1. Looks like it was a $3.75. Looks like it only went up a quarter from 2016 till now 2025. Is that, and the adults, is that right?
that was what it had been. Excuse me. Correct. That's what the increase had been. And I did misspeak on that.
25 cents over 9 years, pretty much.
Yeah, it had increased that 25 cents. And that, your point there is that there was a long period of time during which there was only that very small increase and no increase since 21. But even though there was a small increase in 2021, there was no reduction in ridership, which I think was the bigger concern. And so all of that taken together, just, anytime you raise rates or you make any kind of a change that could be adverse to any group that you're trying to serve, makes it difficult. We were trying to minimize the pain to the least possible extent possible, and as much as this could be a possible factor for some people, it seemed to be it was the least disruptive and the least likely to cause diminishment of ridership, which can equate to individual choices reflective of either unaffordability or just impossibility for a family income.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
I think you've made a strong case in your rationale, but I think it was pointed out by the mayor that increase was a quarter. This is $1. That's significant. But I also think that Alderperson Davis pointed out the difficulty with a cash system and going with change is going to be a hardship. Ideally, with your with your taxi service and your company you're working with, if they can improve their technology to allow some basis of using a card. I have my friend actually buys 10 of these tickets at a time, and so he pays for it, at their office, and then he ends up using them for work. But he pays for them up front, at a time, and he hands in his ticket. So it's done that way. But when you're actually dealing with cash, and you have to give change, that's probably the hardship here that is a disincentive on having a change approach. But hopefully your transit can look maybe into the possibility of a payment plan that would go away from cash in addition.
But that was discussed. I think Megan can probably give you a better answer than I can, but there were some serious problems with that. And it was something that we're not doing now and wasn't something after the explanation we had that looked like it had any potential. So Megan, I don't know, perhaps you could help Alderman Berg on what was the reason that we felt that was not.
She's on.
It was due to the processing fee and how the commission would report that. Watertown Transit, passenger transit personnel was on for our transit meeting the other week. And she said that this is being discussed with the state, how to do that. She said she attended a conference with Minnesota, and they too are trying to find ways to work around that. But it is due to the extra charges that a credit card fee would.
So maybe next year.
Yes, so it's being discussed.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Jonathan, you got anything?
No, I subscribe to Fred's analysis of this issue.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. All right. Do we need,
I'm not
money?
sure who seconded.
Lampy did, I believe, Smith first, so we'll start with, I think I'll take a roll call just to, Smith,
Aye.
Lampy?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Davis?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, last thing for the public, discuss Fund 1 income statement through October 31st. I have it up. Anyone has any questions for Mr. Stevens maybe? Otherwise, we can move on.
This is a report through the month of October, which is 83% of the year. If you were to look at the bottom line, you would think that we're close to where the projection is for the year. But what took place right after or 2 weeks after November started was most of the shared revenues from the state arrived. That was $2.9 million that came in. So obviously through November, this is a completely different picture. The revenues through yesterday was approximately 95% of our year. So we're tracking where we need to be. It's just October looks bleak just because of the timing of what shows up in November.
Okay. Any questions or comments from Mr. Stevens on the Fund 1?
No surprises on the expenditure side?
Mr. Lampy, you good? Okay. All right, we'll move on to K. Convene a closed session per statute 19.85 when deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. 2026 PD union contract.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, motion by Davis, moving to closed session. Second by Berg. Okay, Davis, Berg,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Lampy.
Aye.
I vote yes. I guess create a So you probably. Okay, we're back in open session now.
I'll
Well,
move to adjourn.
okay, motion by Berg to adjourn. Second by Davis. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. It is 6:43.
Didn't you want to be out of here by 6:45?
I did, that's what I told you earlier, yeah.
Oh, we can wait another couple minutes.
I can wait.